Now we can invite Asa to introduce our guest.
Hey guys, how's it going today? As you guys know, my name's Asa Whalen, and today we're very privileged to have some candidates who are running for the state legislature in Vermont, in this Washington 7th district. As you guys know, it's a very tight race between the four candidates. Their names being Heidi Spear, Maxine Grad, Adam Gresham, and Ed Reed. And the format of this forum, it's going to start out with each candidate giving a 1-minute introduction to themselves and what they've done, followed by 4 rounds of questions where each candidate will have 1 minute and 30 seconds to give an answer to one of the many questions that we've collected from everyone in history classes over the past week. So if we could have our 4 esteemed candidates come on up, that would be great. So guys, I just once again ask that just be as respectful as I know Harvard can be to these very great people. So Heidi, if you wouldn't mind starting off with just a 1-minute introduction.
Sure, I'd be happy to do that. Can everybody hear me? Yeah. Close enough? I do want to be heard. That's part of the reason that I would run, right? To be heard. So my name is Heidi Spear. I'm a resident of Fayston. I have 2 small children in the Fayston school. They got a ways to go before they're going to be here at Harwood. But I am happy to be at Harwood here today. I have to say, in my own high school, I don't think we ever had everyone at the school together unless it was for a football game. So I really, I applaud this effort, this convening of the entire community, which is what you are, a community. And I decided to run for the House of Representatives. I'm hoping to represent our broader community, which is roughly parallel to our supervisory union, just with the exception of Waterbury. And I've really been provoked to run. This was now part of my life plan. By any measure, I can add it to the list of things I thought I would never do. But I'm hoping to serve because I think we need to do more to address affordability for our families and to ensure that we can continue to deliver excellent education to our students. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Adam Gresham, and I live in Warren with my wife and 3 kids. I serve on the Warren School Board, and I am an owner and employee of Sugarbush Resort. Hopefully, many of you have gone to Sugarbush, or will be going this winter. I oversee a number of our programs, and some of you may recognize my name from the signature on your Student Achievement Program letters that I send out. I hope a lot of you have received them. I've served in the legislature for 6 years, and I was first motivated to run because I was very interested in engaging in public policy. It was a passion of mine, and I thought I could make a difference. And that was 6 years ago, so I've run now 3 campaigns. This is my 4th. While in the legislature, I've dealt with big picture issues like making sure we have jobs for people who are looking for jobs, making sure our tax policy is appropriate, and also how we spend our money.
Now, quickly, I'd just like to remind all of you that we have 2 lovely students in front holding up signs that read 10 seconds and stop, just to make sure everyone stays on track.
Great, well thank you so much. My name is Maxine Grad, I'm your representative. I've been in the State House for 14 years. Some of you may know my daughters Sophie and Noah Shems, who have graduated from Harwood. And I'm on the vice chair of House Judiciary Committee, where we deal with crimes, drugs, juvenile issues. But I'm going to stop there and talk about stop talking about me and talk about you and build on what Ms. Cadwell said about how important your voice is. And even if you can't vote, your voice is important and has in fact been very important to us at the legislature. There are a number of bills that we have passed and some that we haven't passed because of your involvement. For instance, we have a bullying bill that was a result of your work. We don't have a curfew for junior operators because we heard from you there's no way we can get to higher ground and back by midnight, or there's no way that we can get back after sports. So keep involved, keep coming, and keep helping us make policies that make your lives better as well as the state of Vermont. Thank you.
Thanks. My name's Ed Reed. Around here I'm better known as, for my spawn, Ben, your house drummer, and Sally is known as the brick wall on the JV field hockey team. And I'm running as an independent for legislature. I live in Facein, and I'm on the select board in Facein, have been for 13 years. I own a couple businesses in Waitsfield, Maverick Garden Center, Maverick Property Management. And I've been involved with the community for years. I've probably coached half of you guys here in baseball over the years. Now, the reason I'm running as an independent, and this is very important, is because I don't have to subscribe to any sort of ideology or political philosophy, to make my own decisions when I'm over there, and a lot of the gridlock that you see in politics is because of the gridlock due to political platforms. So, stay independent, vote independent, and always be independent.
So to start off, the first question will be, Vermont has recently raised the minimum wage over the next 2 years to $10.10. Do you agree with this piece of legislation? Adam, would you please start and we'll go around?
I do agree with the legislation, and in fact, I voted for it and was part of the group that helped advocate for changing what the original legislation would have done. So yes, I think it's important. The minimum wage, I know many of you here either will or already have worked at the minimum wage, and I think it's important to have a wage level that will provide income for people and provide fair pay for fair work. If I were king for a day, I suppose the minimum wage would have doubled or tripled. But we also have businesses that must stay in business and need to be able to pay their employees a fair wage, but also make a profit at the end of the day. So the minimum wage raise that we did do was a good compromise. And I think it was important for making sure that we can provide income for people to provide for their families and for their livelihoods. So yes, I did support it.
Yes, like Adam, I too supported it, and I wish it would have gone up sooner. It goes actually up in increments over 4 years, but again, it's a matter of balancing what's best for businesses and our workforce. Ideally, I would like to see a livable wage, which truly reflects what people need to live. However, I think that's a long ways away, unfortunately, because again, we must balance the needs of our businesses and our workers. So, so I'm glad that we did increase the livable wage, and I hope that benefits many of you.
I absolutely support it. In my businesses, I've never ever paid anybody minimum wage. Even 16-year-olds who start working for me make more than minimum wage, way more. And I believe right now it's $8.30, $8.35 an hour, which is an absolute joke. And so going up to 10, whatever, is definitely a good start. And but part and parcel to that, just so you all know, is when you leave Harwood, after your senior year, you shouldn't walk out of here without knowing how to budget your money, your wages, okay? This isn't like a public advertisement, but you will make what you make in your life, but you have to know what to do with that money. So yes, I absolutely support the minimum wage being increased, and you have to earn it, and you have to earn all your raises, and you have to know what to do with it.
So I agree as well. The minimum wage needed to rise. It was far too low. I'm glad that the legislature passed the legislation that it did to raise it. This is a national problem, and I'm really hopeful that there'll be movement at the national level so that others in other states it's raised as well. It's not acceptable that people could work full-time and not be able to support themselves and their families. And this is a real challenge, one that requires balance, but had to be addressed. It was overdue.
Thank you. Next question. This one's good. Should abortions be covered by state health insurance plans or offered through ministry? Maxine.
Absolutely. I think that the ability to have reproductive rights and for a woman to choose whether or not to have a child is of utmost importance. It's her constitutional right, and anything that we can do to make that choice and not burden that choice, I think is very important and very important state policy. And Vermont has actually always been a leader in terms of supporting reproductive rights. We were one of, I think, 5 or 6 states that doesn't have any restrictions on abortion. Thank you.
Yes, I'm 100% pro-choice, always have been, and it should be covered, absolutely. If you're going to be told what insurance you have to take, what insurance you have to pay for, then it should be covered by the state insurance, yes.
100%. I swear there is actual variety up here, but it's just not coming out so far in the questions. But yes, it absolutely should be covered. I think that the idea that we would limit it or restrict it or exclude it runs afoul of my ethics and I think the values of a lot of people. It's important that there be choice in this manner. I do think that there are some other things that are covered, and we might actually stem the tide in the rise of our healthcare costs if we were to be a little more discriminating about what gets covered, but it absolutely, in my opinion, should not be a woman's right to choose.
Indeed, I think there is a unanimous opinion up here, which you do get from time to time. Vermont has indeed been a leader in reproductive rights, and I certainly think that abortion should be covered by insurance policies, as they are now.
Thank you. Next question. Should more be done to limit campaign spending in Vermont elections?
Well, I know I raised in the high 3 figures, I think it was, maybe 4. I think what you see, this again goes to the sort of the party politics. You always have Democrats railing on the Republicans for PAC donations, and then the Republicans railing and blah, 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 blah. So should there be a limit? Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't know what that limit would be, but you shouldn't be able to buy an election, that's for sure. And so yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea to have a limit on campaign contributions.
I absolutely think there should be a limit on campaign contributions. I consider money in politics to be a huge problem. I believe soft money is destroying democracy. And fortunately, there's a lot of attention being paid to this. But to get the U.S. Congress to do something on this when it's so entrenched is a real challenge. But yes, it's about votes, it's about people, and when you have all this soft money flooding the system, it all gets perverted, and I would like to see it end.
In the ideal world, absolutely. We've been moaning about money in politics for as long as I've been in politics and far longer than that. The problem is we just don't seem to be able to figure out how to do it, how to limit money from politics. So we passed a campaign finance bill this year that would change the way we finance campaigns. And I was one of maybe a dozen legislators who voted against it because, in fact, it didn't limit the amount of money going into campaigns, it actually increased. So let me just make, having said that, let me just make one point. At the local level, that is the level that I and my three colleagues up here are at, I would argue that money does very little. It's not important. It's a very minor, if any, factor at all. It's all shoe leather and bike tires and car. Getting around, meeting people, money is not important. But the larger your campaign district, in other words, the fewer people you can meet as part of your total voting audience, the more money has been important. So sure, I'd love to limit it. I would just listen to all options and how to do it. We haven't figured that out yet.
I too agree that money should be limited and that unfortunately money does speak. And I would prefer to do the speaking myself, and that's why I've been knocking on doors, trying to get out to as many people as possible and speak to you directly and hear what your concerns are and what your issues are. Thank you.
Did we start with you, Ed? Yes, you did. Another question? What are your views on the proposed single or universal single-payer health care legislation? Heidi, you start.
Yeah, so I am a strong proponent of universal coverage. We all need access to health care. The legislation that provided for statewide single payer, however, I'm opposed to. I think it isn't viable. I think it defies logic. And I think there's a reason why 3 years later there's still no financing plan and there's still no implementation plan. And in fact, I believe it would have been much better for our state and our economy if before passing such legislation, we actually looked at those issues. I think this type of instability has negatively affected our economy and obviously has created a lot of tumult. Single payer is a system that works nationally. We look to countries across the seas and to our north, for example, and see systems that we envy. However, those are nations, not states, and they certainly aren't states of 626,000 residents who don't control labor markets, who don't control the costs of pharmaceuticals. This is just not a realistic plan without the cost containment that single payer at a national level allows for. We would just incur rising tide of costs on our taxpayers, and it's not viable. It's the last thing we need right now.
So people know single payer refers to the idea that the state of Vermont will oversee our health care coverage, not only help decide what plans we will have, but also manage health care, determine how much hospitals will be paid for procedures, determine which physicians are qualified to care for us, determine how much physicians will be paid. And everything that insurance companies do now, the state of Vermont will do. Single payer, the primary goal of making sure that everyone in this state, simply because they live in this state, will have health insurance, is a terrific goal.